Jay Massey is a full-time real estate investor. He's an entrepreneur.
He also teaches people how to find deals, raise capital for real estate investments.
Meeting Jay Massey in person, you'd think he's just a regular guy. He's got jeans and a t-shirt on and a pair of sneakers. But he's built up a multi-million-dollar empire.
I hope you do have an empty notebook because it's going home filled.
Jay gives back so much value that I've never seen.
Now, at this moment, when I'm looking at the kitchen, things are going through my head.
You want to be friends with him, and he treats you like you're the only person in the room, even though it's for the benefit of everybody.
This is how, when you ask yourself, how does Jay do it? This is how.
He tells people that they have to take action, and they have to take action now. I took the action, and the results have paid off.
What happens when the marketplace understands who we are and how we go out there?
All right. Happy Monday, everyone. How are you doing? Hopefully things are going well for you today. Now, in the first 15, 20 seconds of being here, you probably noticed, especially for those of you who are who've been here before, that I sound slightly different. Yes, we'll get into the explanation of all that soon enough, but what it comes down to is my voice took a vacation for a little while. It is back. Yay. Or kind of back. And I think some of you remember in, like, was it January, February earlier this year when that happened, when it was like gone for a long while. That was actually kind of scary for me. Anyway, it's not like that. So that's good. And at the same time, I want to talk about why. Because as you saw by the title, is going to be the most important thing, keywords that happens with, but yet that's required for business, but it's the thing that we tend to skip the most. And we're definitely going to talk about that. Now, yes, for those of you wondering, I do have the cards here with me again today. I am back at home. Yay. This is a good thing. And then for those of you wondering what the cards are all about, basically these are those random questions. It's a way for me to give you a chance to ask a question that not necessarily is going to be on topic, but gives you a chance to know something more about me. So for those of you who are watching on Facebook, you're the green deck today, which means every time you type the word cash flow, we're going to ask one of those. And for those of you on YouTube, this kind of makes sense, you are the red deck. And the questions are kind of all over the place. So if that's something that's of interest to you, you'll do that in the chat. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. My name is Jay, CEO of CashFlowDiary. And what we do, well, I think it's rather straightforward. It's rather clear. We help you, yes, you, even though it's your first time, even though you've only thought about it before, we help you become bigger, better, fatter as it relates to being an entrepreneur, and most specifically, build cash flow. That is the thing that we care about. If you're looking for capital gains, we are not necessarily your best choice. If you're looking for get rich quick, then that's going to definitely be a different stream. But if you want to make sure that you can gain the skill sets, understand the fundamentals, the strategies, most importantly, how to read what I like to call the tea leaves of the marketplace so that you know exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it to direct your business, then this is the place for you. Make sure you hit the like button for those of you on YouTube. Well, yes, definitely on YouTube. And for those of you watching on Facebook, yeah, give us some emojis because that would just be fun too. All right. So I am really energized at this particular moment, just around a number of things, because here's something that one of my mentors says, and I want you to get ready to write down lots of notes today because there will likely be a ton of them. So one of the things, here's the first one that I want you to write down. Hopefully you are ready. Oh, I almost forgot. For those of you who are new here, do me a favor, go ahead and type new in the comments, because what's going to happen is that from time to time, I will look in the comments and I want to make sure that we can welcome you. So just type new in the comments. That way we know that, hey, you're here, okay? And I want to acknowledge you for doing that. I see you. This is important. And most importantly, hopefully that continues, that you come back with friends. So let's see if we can deliver you some value today and kind of go from there. All right. With that being said, I'm kind of energized because, as I was saying, a mentor of mine, I mean, everybody's mentor says something, right? Has a saying that I believe absolutely resonates. And I'm hoping that it's something that you pick up specifically today. All right. Really specifically today. And she says very, very plainly, very clearly that we, you, me, I, all of us, as an entrepreneur, what we must do is we must train for our business the same way that an athlete trains for her sport or his sport. It's the same. There's like no difference between those two things. The way that an athlete trains for their sport is how we as entrepreneurs should train. Keywords: train for the business that you do, want to do, thinking about doing, would like to do one day, or maybe want to pivot to. You get my point. That's what should happen. So make sure, someone capture that, put that in there, because everybody, you really need to hear that one. What does that mean though? Right? Because that's really what it comes down to. The thought that goes through my head is like, okay, what does that mean? How do I apply that? How can I make that tangible and real and see a result? Remember GPT, goal, plan, track. What can I do about this thing now that I resonate with this thing? Well, one of those things is to develop a goal, develop a plan, and then track it, right? And when it comes down to it, sometimes I will say it this way. Sometimes, because maybe there are some of you out there in the audience who are actually good at this. We as entrepreneurs, the word isn't overwork, Okay, that's not what I'm saying here. I'm not saying that we overwork. But the thing that is the most important, but yet I know confidently that we consistently skip too frequently, is rest and recovery. Yeah, that's really what it is. We skip rest and recovery. We just like skip it as if it does not count. In fact, we can get to the point where not only does rest and recovery not count to us, but maybe we think, oh, I'm being weak, or feeling guilty, or putting yourself in a situation in which you're like, man, I feel like I'm almost there. And it comes out this way. I will rest when insert goal happens. Right? And then maybe that goal does happen, but do you actually then go do it? I really, really, really want to stress this concept with you today. Here's why. Many data points, many things that I've been taking in. Many of you know, if you saw us over the weekend, especially me on Saturday, you know that I was not home. You know that I was, where were we? Paso Robles. Yes. If you know where that is, then that's where we were. Okay. We were up there. Now, my point in sharing that, one, that's part of the reason I can't talk, is because we started singing Hamilton as a group, and it went on and on and on. Yes, and it was awesome. But outside of that, my point is this: do you remember when we were talking about the ideal week? In your ideal week, is there a plan for rest and recovery? Now, hear me clearly. I am making a distinction between rest and recovery, right? A recovery day doesn't mean you're not doing something. A rest day, you're not doing nothing, okay? It related in that sense. But a recovery day, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not doing anything, and it doesn't mean you're not making progress. Because here's something that I was thinking about, even this morning. I don't know, some of you, if you saw Governor Cuomo of New York, there was something that he said. There were a number of things that he said. I like listening to him because he's, whether you like him or not, or his policy, all that stuff, that's not what I'm talking about. He as a person, he is fun for me to listen to. The way he talks is great. Love it. Anyway. And one of the things that he was bringing up was just the idea that in order for a virus or a human to get sick, one of the things that is needed is the correct environment, meaning your body must also already be weak in some way, shape, or form. Right? There is a weakness that is being exploited in some way, shape, or form. And that concept kind of sticks with me, right? There's a weakness that is being exploited. So when we think about training for business, part of the reason we train in general is to eliminate weaknesses. Do we not? That is what we are doing. We are intentionally looking for a way to make something stronger, whatever that might be, right? And I guess in order to even do that, we must also then, therefore, have an awareness that something else is weak. Which then leads me to another thought. Get ready to write this down. Are you aware of those areas in which you not only are strong, but also are weak? In fact, if you were brave enough, would you be willing to, take the 5 next, hear me clearly, not best, 5 next, and then we'll do 5 best. 5 next people you talk to, just ask them, hey, what do you think? What do you think are my 5 greatest? Well, or just one. Like, what do you think I'm weak at? That would be interesting. And then ask the people who know you well. See if the answers are different, because that would also be interesting. I think the difference between the two. But you can't train unless you know something is weak. You wouldn't. You don't see the problem. There's nothing to fix because everything is fine. Does that make sense? I mean, it makes sense to me. And it gets me kind of excited because it gets me excited to examine, where's the company weak? Where do we need training? What's missing? How can we fill in that hole? Like, how do we make that muscle stronger? How do we make that system stronger? Whether it's our lymphatic system, whether it's our vision system. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because when we train for business the same way that an athlete trains for their sport, I think a lot of things get really clear. Because it's not something that an athlete would do just Monday through Friday. 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or what have you. That's not how that works. Not the good ones. Because that's just not how it works. But they do everything they can to give themselves, a shot at being strong. And it's predictable, and there's a schedule. Another thing that Cuomo said today, which I think is awesome and hilarious. This one was just funny. He said, denial is not a successful life strategy. Oh my God. And I'm like, well, he's right. And it's funny. Yet, how many times as an entrepreneur do we deny the fact that, I don't need sleep. I don't need that. I'm good. I'm strong. Me. And it's where the focus is can sometimes become the problem. Denial is not a successful life strategy. And I was like, interesting, right? Because admitting that there's something, maybe either, it's depending on the size of your business, maybe you are the entire business. That's fine. That's where it starts. We all get that privilege. Yay. Welcome to the club. And you're like, my weaknesses are very apparent, Jay. Got it. Hear you. That doesn't mean you shouldn't move forward. That doesn't mean the idea is not worth it. Doesn't mean the marketplace doesn't need it. Doesn't mean, then I'll wait till I get strong, then I'll move. No. But it also don't want to charge ahead, unaware that you're actually weak at something. I'm good. No, you're not. You are impaired here. We all have them. I have a lot. And that's important to understand, that you too are human in that way, and it's okay. 100%. So as I was assimilating and thinking about, there was a post that I did earlier, specifically on Facebook, where I believe it said something to the effect. It was one of those images that says something to the effect of, the world is changed not by your words, but by your example. And I'm like, yep, that totally resonates with me. And as I was thinking about, today, what we were going to talk about, I totally would. I scrapped what we had planned in favor of this because I was fired up. And I'm like, okay, this is a topic, this is a conversation, this is a thing that I think we entrepreneurs should address. And most importantly, we, CashFlowDiary, should mention, because if we're going to continue to help and train and lead entrepreneurs to successful outcomes, this is something they need to be planning for. Yeah, there needs to be a plan. And I've recently got in touch with this all over again. This concept of deliberate and intentional rest and recovery. Someone write that in the chat, please. Deliberate, intentional rest and recovery. That's kind of where we're coming from, right? Because if you're going to train, part of the training is obviously being deliberate, but part of getting stronger, say physically, is rest and recovery. Now, depending on how many of you there are, or how long you've, been following. And I'm sorry, I'm adjusting the camera because it's relevant now. There's a device that I've been leveraging a lot and it arrived in our house on May 15th. And it's a training device. I'm pretty sure you figured out what the device is by now. But yes, there's a Peloton bike downstairs. And I remember a friend of mine, Robert, yes, he might even be in a chat right now. There was something that he said. He's like, well, we'll see. He said something to the effect of, we'll see how consistent you will be with that. Because again, yeah, I can grow hot and cold with things in a heartbeat, especially certain pieces of technology. Because sometimes you're like, that's going to be great. And you're like, oh, that's really not that good. And then it sits over there. Anyway, I also wanted to know, because I wasn't sure how consistent I was going to be. Well, what I was thinking about, though, is I knew at the beginning it was going to be challenging, much like business, but I knew that also I would go through the 4 levels of learning, right? Your unconscious incompetence, you don't know what you don't know. Then your conscious incompetence, you now know you don't know a lot. And then your conscious competence, you know what to do, but you gotta really, really think. And then eventually you get to the unconscious competence, where you don't even have to think about it. It just kind of happens. And I knew that the secret to pushing through that was frequency of failure specifically. And so I knew that if I was going to have a shot at being consistent and continuing to get on the bike and all this other stuff, it was going to it needed to be more than motivation. It had to transform to inspiration. And so that's what I did. I just started attacking it on a consistent basis, and so that I could get through those levels, because I didn't want to quit again on myself for something, right? And that's kind of what has happened. Somehow magically we're like, I've done some form of a workout for like 106 days straight now, which is kind of crazy because that's never happened before in my life. But the principle is the same, because I was concerned about my lung function, to be very specific, with everything else that's going on, having asthma and whatnot. But yet at the same time, aren't I also preparing my body in case, because there's something that has the potential of being weak? And I'm like, oh my goodness, here it is. I'm training my body in case there's a threat out there, just like there is to business, just like there is to your finances, just like there is to everything that you do. Every time, like if you're listening to me and driving right now, please keep your eyes on the road. But more importantly, you probably have on a seatbelt. You definitely have brakes in your car. You have an accelerator. You've got all of these things the car's designed to transport you from one place to another, but yet to operate it, you've got all of these things, and you weren't born knowing how to use them. You trained. Some of us more than others, but you trained, and you now know how to do it. And your business is no different, because it is that type of training that's what it takes. And when your car brakes get weak, you go get them fixed. And when it doesn't accelerate like it used to, some of you go tweak it. I know you are. You know you are too. So I say this to say that, by and large, as an entrepreneur, I'm going to repeat it, deliberate and intentional rest and recovery, that's the biggest and most important thing. And it's the thing that we either don't understand, or we forget, or we skip, or we ascribe literally no value to. And that's a challenge. I say it's a challenge because one of the things that I've noticed, and again, I've got to use something that's recent, relevant for me, is being able to track and see my own physical performance before and after rest and recovery days, right? Because the amount of gain that happens in terms of either distance traveled on the bike or speed at which we are traveling, or the intensity or how much more intensity that can actually happen is, I just find it interesting, to be honest, right? How much more lung function I actually have today because of a decision 100 and some odd 6 days ago, 106 days ago. And I'm like, this is just like business. It's like, because so the same is true for you, for all of us. Whatever your business currently is, if it's at zero, understood, great. How do we get it to the first dollar? And then once we've got the first dollar, how do we get it to 1,000 of those? Then 10,000 of those. Whatever the next step is, there's some training that you could be doing. Because that's part of the plan, right? And in the very same way, you also have to track, right? And that to me is one of the it's one of the most fun parts of this entire thing is all the tracking that is now possible because of technology, right? Because we've got all of these wonderful, depends. We've got all of these wonderful devices now, right? That we can use to help us track things like, our activity levels, how much walking, running, whatever. In this case, what is it? This is the steps one from Fitbit. How many steps are you actually doing? Like, are you willing to track it or not? Right? Which is another way of saying being in business, but not being willing to track your progress or be held accountable to achieving a certain outcome and or result. How will you know that you're making progress? I don't know. And this is important. But see, this is the activity. This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that this is what we want to do. We want to go out there and tear it up and set record days in terms of, was that really 16,000 steps? Good Lord. I don't remember what I was doing that day. Oh, hold on. That was Saturday, wasn't it? Wow. Yeah. Anyway, my point is going out there and doing those things. The activity, that's the fun part, right? That's the part we get excited about. We want to do that. That's the part everyone asks me for. That's what they come to Cash. They like, hey, show me what to do. And wouldn't it be interesting that if what to do, like if that answer, like literally the answer to what to do is rest and recover. How do you receive that as a human right now? Like right now, when I say, hey, the thing you need to do is rest and recover, that's what's going to make your business stronger. One of the things I did last week before we left for Paso Robles, I sent a message to the entire team. One of the things that we do here is there's a mental health day. So you work here, you get a mental health day because you need it. And I was like, everybody, I need you to make sure you take this because you are going to need it. Because, we're ramping up and getting ready to serve a select few of you, those of you who are coming to the training, right? That I think starts next week. So I was telling them, hey, make sure you take your mental health day so that you are ready. Okay, it's the same principle, the rest and the recovery, so that you can be ready to give, to serve, to be stronger, to be whatever it is you need to be for whomever it is you need to be. And like I said, we can get enamored with the activity. The activity is the fun part. The activity is where we believe we're making the progress. But it's the rest and recovery where we actually get stronger. That's something I've tapped into again. And I'm pretty excited about it. So what does that mean? That means if rest and recovery is that important, and I'm training, like I'm training for business, just like I do, like an athlete would do. Yeah, I know. I totally forgot about the comments. I will get to them in a minute. I want to make this point, then we'll go get it. We'll go get them. How do I track my performance at rest and recovery? Right? How do I know I'm doing rest and recovery better? Notice I didn't say right. I just said better. How can I track that? How can I measure that? Because that too would need to be something I track and improve as well. And these are all just things that I think about all the time. What does that mean in my case? I'll show you right now. This is maybe you've seen it. I don't know if you were paying attention to the NBA at all and some of what they've made available and whatnot for the athletes. I've known about this before that, but this is the data from you probably see this ring on my finger. And this particular ring, what it measures is exactly what I just said, helping me to rest, learn how to, keywords, rest and recover better. Now, we can all see this, right? This is what I mean by accountability. We can all see this. This is the trend. The trend is all over the place when it comes to the total amount of sleep that is actually happening, right? And we can see this line right here around 5 hours, 5 minutes, right? Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because what happened is where was that? Okay, got it. What happened is that we started making some decisions about hiring, and we've had some challenges with internal personnel, and we've also had to deal with the virus, and we've had a lot of things that needed to get done. And I, being me, felt like, hey, that means I got to get it done. And that's what's happened. I got to go get it done, because if I don't get it done, nobody else is going to get it done, blah, blah, blah. And we've had to do a lot of things. This is, again, it's another reminder. Okay, I have to rely on the team more and a lot more, at least 1 hour and 19 minutes more, so that I can get 6 hours and 24 minutes of sleep. Anyway, my point is simple. This having accountability, anything that is objective that you can look at to see, am I coming close? Am I getting to where I need to be? Or not? Or what can I change? Because that's always the thing. That means you must track all of the things that you are doing to improve your business and what I am trying to get you to do. It's not just rest and recover, but actually track it too. I don't care how you track it. I just care that you track it so that you can become better. When you have more sleep, more water, more all of the things. In fact, let me show you some more little nerdy things on this one, because some of you like this stuff too, because I know you. One of the things that obviously I pay attention to, whoop, I've lost my, oh, it's over there. One of the things that I also pay attention to is my own respiratory rate. Like, how am I breathing in terms of breaths per minute when sleep, right? Because when it's really, really high, it's probably stressful in some way, shape, or form. So again, you can see this, right? It's clear to me what's going on and what I might need to begin to adjust, because all of these numbers have a reference point. There's a reason each of them are there. And if you don't know what those are, it doesn't really matter, because it freaking tells you so that you can learn. Like this, again, this is all indicative of, like I said, the extra stress I chose. No one else. I chose to take on. That's what all of this is reminding me and showing, because typically my resting heart rate is much lower. But it hasn't been. You know why? because we've been focused, working harder, pushing stronger, trying to make new objectives happen. Honestly, getting ready for you, getting ready for this, right? Literally getting ready for this. Because it's like, okay, we got to plan all this content. We got to make all this happen. And we got to do it now because the first of the month is coming, guys. Let's go. Woo. And again, you can see it. Look, because notice how that's going up as the first of the month gets here. And it is slowly coming. It'll get back down. But do you understand what I'm saying? You must track your performance at almost everything that you do so that you have a shot at improving it in some way, shape, or form, so that you know how to make things happen. Could you imagine a car that doesn't have a check engine light? That's not going to go well. Like if you never change the oil, if you never change the tires or rotate the tires, or maybe you do both of those things. Sorry, not a car guy. And it would be silly to expect it to keep performing. Right? One of the most important things, so I'm going to say it again, is deliberate, keywords, and intentional rest. All right. Let me see. Did I? Now, and to be clear, because I said denial is not a successful life strategy. I also want to say that one of the things that's set up for myself, and in addition to all the gadgets and stuff that track what's going on, is that I still, like, again, same guy, Robert, who started this with that one question. One of the roles that he plays is that he doesn't know it. He's about to learn it right now. That I know if I won't voluntarily go away anywhere. I just won't. That's not something my brain thinks about. But he does. It's easier for him. It's something that it's a part of him, and that's fine. So I've now taken to this. Okay, all right. When he's like, oh, hey, let's go do this, that, and the other. The last answer that when he's been asking me the last couple of times, the answer has been, sure, if you can get my wife to go. And he's like, that's the only hurdle I've got. I'm like, sure, knock yourself out. It's been pretty funny watching him get the whole thing done and whatnot. But he's not failed. He's batting 1,000 right now. So I might have to get a little bit more careful about how I answer that particular question when he says, hey, let's go. Which is, by the way, how he ended up in Philadelphia seeing Hamilton, because I said, hey, let's wait till it comes to LA. And he's like, no, we need to go now. Think about that, though. Had we waited, we wouldn't have seen it because COVID. Wow. Anyway, so you got to have a friend. You got to have somebody else who can help you with those things that with you are weak. You need that spotter. Train for business, right? All right. I see a ton of comments in here, and I know anyway. Let me see. What is this? Good morning, Professor. I don't know that anyone has ever called me Professor, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Hopefully that's a good thing, because I know some people, college wasn't the best. And yes, nonetheless. Let's keep going. Whoops, where'd the comments go? There we go. Massey says, I'm in. Let's do this. I have a feeling, I haven't seen the rest of the comments yet, but I have a feeling, Massey, you are already in on many of these things already. And which is good. Let's see. Love the pellet. Yes, it was. So to be clear, for those of you who wonder, this particular shirt is actually something you get once you have ridden the bike 100 times, right? So on your 100th ride, it's into your little code, and that's how you get this shirt, and they call it the century ride. Anyway, it's its own little club. All now, because of COVID, it took a long time for it to get here. I'm almost at ride number 300, but details. It's all good. It's totally fine. All right, let's see. And who's this? I'm gonna try it. Abhinav Anand. and I did the best I could. And if I totally said something different or wrong, I apologize. And just know that I do like to get your name right. And thanks for being here. And hopefully you'll come back. Let's see, what's this? There it is. Good morning, Master Joda. That is my favorite one by far. You guys come up with some very interesting nicknames. I like it. I like it. I like it. We must train for our business the same way an athlete trains for their sport. 100%. Because we are expecting great performance out of ourselves, and what we pour into our business, it can then therefore pour back unless you don't train. So it's kind of hard. Kind of hard not to. All right, let's see. Yes, denial is not a successful life strategy. It just really isn't. It really is not. And remember, deliberate and intentional rest and recovery. So, oh my goodness. It says, let me join here is what. Yes, by all means, Vasa. Come on, get us everywhere. How do I track my performance at rest and recovery? Great question, right? And again, maybe I'm going to extremes, but it's not something we think about. If we think about rest and recovery, because I know some of you do, and that's good. But most of you, you don't. And if you do, how do you track it? How do you know that you are improving in your rest and recovery? How do you know? See, one of the other, in fact, Jeremy, let me show you real fast. One of the other stats this ring does is what it's called. It calls it readiness. Literally takes everything, all of the numbers, so it like connects to all of the other health apps and active blah 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 blah, and it gives you what it thinks is based upon relative measure. So it takes about 2 weeks before it can actually produce better numbers for you. But it says, are you rested enough? That ultimately, that's what this line is all about. Are you ready? As in ready for the day. So every day you wake up, there's a new number, and it's, are you ready? And ready being relative to what it has measured as better performance for you. And so again, I like these things, but now I have a way to know what I need to do next. And maybe one day it's go to bed earlier. Maybe one day it's, hey, I've got extra room. I can do more activity. Or hey, it's, I must be feeling stressed because this little point here, my breathing rate is up, my heart rate is down, or my resting heart rate is higher. All of these things are things that can be used to give us insight into what might be going on under the surface that we could not necessarily see or pay attention to, or anyone. Like, when's the last time? None of your friends are going to ask you, hey, man, were you breathing 13 or 14 times a minute last night? I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm coming from. So hopefully that helps. That makes some sense. Brenda says, could you also say that we need to put our own face masks first before we help others? You got it. Yes, right. Because I was actually thinking about medical professionals. I can't even imagine what they're still going through right now, right? Just think about that for a second. I know some of you, you're like, I don't even have a job though. I hear you. And just think about the stress that medical professionals have experienced now for almost 5 months, maybe going close to 6, every day. I'm just concerned. I mean, I don't know, just in general, because they are human. And it's something that matters. I'm hoping that they are putting their own mask on first, that they are actually, resting and recovering and being intentional about it and not making anyone wrong for needing it or doing it. And these are all things that we often can do. We make ourselves wrong for resting. Yet, my actual data shows me that my body, I perform better when I'm deliberate and intentional with rest. And I had to make sure that I said that to you and today, because this is not, I'm not perfect at it. I have things that quote unquote trap me into making sure I do it. All the way up to and including when Robert says something crazy like, let's go here last minute, my response, I've now evolved my response to, sure, if you can get Poppy to go. Because in my head, I'm like, there's no way he's going to do that. There's no way she's, what? I'm like, okay. So now we're going. And that, it's like, oh, okay, well, guess we're going. So I'm saying this as much as I am easily guilty of just work. And again, these are the actual stats, numbers, what have you, right? Of my own rest, sleep, etc., whatnot. Because again, I do the same thing. My business just happens to be preparing for you, right? And that's the thing that I'm thinking about is that's the thing that ends up stressing me out, is making sure that we as a company are ready to serve. And because that's our business, right? And you can, it's clear. It's clear to me when I'm looking at all, I'm just going back through July. You can see these things. It's clear when the stress was there and when it wasn't, and what we've been doing about it. And then you can make adjustments, course corrections, as they like to say. Anyway, I have no idea if this was helpful for you. Maybe this was one of ones that was for me, but at least now, if nothing else, I can feel like I was responsible, with the time, if nothing else, right? Because I just don't always know. I don't always know. But I wanted to make sure that I said this, that I underscored it, because none of us know how much longer this level of heightened stress is going to be. So prepare your body. It's coming. There is an attack that is coming. I was wanting to prepare my lungs because I was just thinking, what else can I do to make sure that if this thing comes my way, personally, for me, what is the thing that I could do to be as prepared as humanly possible? And for me, that was cardio, which came in the form of a bike, which then came in the form of something else that tracks. And now I can look at that, my output over the past 100 and whatever days, it not only see consistency, but also see improvement. And and it's only because of goal, plan, and track, which serves to reinforce itself and make you keep doing it. The same is true for your business. You will need to develop that goal. You will need to develop that plan. And if you're looking for a plan, that's kind of why we're here. All right, just in case that wasn't clear. And then tracking as well, because it's what we help people do. Now, for those of you who are like, hey, I would love to get way more specific about short-term rentals and real estate and making that happen for myself and my family, great. Here's what you're going to do. And you're going to do it now. Go to CashFlowDiary.com/learn live. That'll get you registered for our upcoming training that's starting next week. Now, to be clear, next week, we will still be here for you at 9 a.m. There will just also be an additional training that's happening at noon Pacific time that you can get invited to. If you'd like to, that'll be right there. And that'll be very hyper focused on doing one thing. For those of you who don't have a business at all, we're going to suggest that it become a short-term rental business. And we're going to get you started. Yes, started. Not like kind of started, not just theory about. We're going to get you started. And for those of you who are already in the short-term rental world, we're going to help you make more money. We're going to cut out the expenses, increase the revenue, because there are concepts, ideas that you'll be able to implement, which within hours, we're told, results in more revenue. So what does that mean? Day one, We're going to give you some ideas. And if you do the homework, by the time you're done with the homework later that day, you'll probably get some revenue. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that the training actually has no cost to you? Just show up, take notes, do the work. If you want to attend, go to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Ladies and gentlemen, I definitely appreciate your time. I thank you for coming in. And hey, come back tomorrow, okay? Maybe I'll be a little bit more lively. I don't know. I was just really needing to say this. And now it's been said. If you've got some questions, feel free to submit those to cashflowdiary.com/ask. And in the meantime, as I've said before, I say again. Hold on. Whoa, I didn't see all these comments. Hold on one second. Jeremy, that's amazing. I'm actually completely blown away. Didn't even know something like this was out there. Even gives you a readiness score. Yeah, absolutely. You will learn a lot about your body in ways, and it lines up. And that's the fun part, Jeremy. It just totally lines up. It's like, oh, well, now I know what to do. I don't do that because that's not right. And sometimes it's not even just about how much sleep you get, because sometimes because there is a metric of time in bed versus time actually sleep. And we think, oh, I was in bed this long, so that does not mean quality. You must also understand these things. So it's I don't know. I like it, obviously. I'm going to bed earlier today. I always make pretty dumb choices when sleep deprived, right? All of us do. All of us do. So that's really what it comes down to. So, and Lorraine is excited. I'm assuming that means excited for tomorrow, not today. I have no idea. So that's good. And yes, I will see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.